Constance Applebee, affectionately known as the Apple, was born in 1873 in the United Kingdom and came to America in 1901, introducing the sport of field hockey to countless American women by traveling throughout the Northeast teaching and coaching the game. The Apple began working at Bryn Mawr in 1904 as Director of Outdoor Sports, and in 1906 was named Director of Physical Education. She introduced the college to the sports of water polo, track, tennis, swimming, fencing, archery, and badminton. In 1922, she founded the United States Field Hockey Association, which is still the national governing body for field hockey in America. She took a year of absence from Bryn Mawr in 1928 to devote more time to her field hockey camp in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, to promote the sport to more high school and universities. Constance continued to return to Bryn Mawr for the next 4 decades until 1967 on a visiting/honorary coach basis, and in some years returning on a regular weekly basis. During the 1953 and 1956 season, the Apple was here full-time. In 1981, Constance passed away.
Constance M.K. Applebee. M.K. was Mary Catherine, and she apparently was somewhat of a sickly child. Now, when I met her, she was pretty darn formidable. She was not sickly, but she was sent to live with the local rector of an Episcopalian church, and he homeschooled her. And there's not a whole lot known about her childhood, but apparently it wasn't all that she would have wanted it to be. She came to this country, as Kathy said, in 1901. Although she was quite sick as a child, she, through exercise, gained her strength and went to the London College of Physical Education, where she got her degree. And in 1900, she came over to a conference that Dudley Sargent was giving. Dudley Sargent was big. Those of you who are in physical education have probably stumbled on that name. At that time, she demonstrated the game of field hockey to Miss Valentine, who was, I believe, at Vassar. And from there, she went to William and Mary, and then came back to what Bryn Mawr refers to as the sister schools: Wellesley, Smith, Holyoke, Vassar, Radcliffe, those 5. I think I've done it. When she came here, as Kathy said, she was named Director of Outdoor Sports and then became Director of Physical Education. And she and M. Carey Thomas, who was the second really founding president of this college, of Bryn Mawr, sat down. They were very concerned because the 19th Amendment had not yet been passed. It was coming up for a vote. Does anybody know what that one is? Giving women the vote. They were very concerned that women wouldn't be strong enough to get to the polls. Now that really sounds kind of ridiculous, talking to all you athletes, but in those days, that was probably appropriate. So M. Carey Thomas charged the Apple with going out and getting the women from Bryn Mawr strong enough to go to the polls. And of course, in 1920, that amendment was passed. I knew Miss Applebee. I was sort of her chauffeur to all the hockey events in Philadelphia because I live in the area. And my mother would always say to me, now, Miss Applebee's in her 80s, so do open the door for her and help her in the car and make sure you get out. We would get close to this campus, and I didn't know the campus in those days, and she would say, stop! And when the Apple said stop, you stopped. And she would get out and snake her way into the woods. I'd go home, and my mother would say, did you help her? I said, yeah, Mom, I was on it. Just like you would all say. But Bryn Mawr, I don't think, can be provincial about the Apple because she meant so much to so many in hockey.
Thanks, Jane. And so I just a couple of remarks that I'd like to make as as a former athlete and coach and as the current athletic director, I recognize that one of Constance's greatest contributions to American sport was her ability to inspire and empower countless women to pursue their life in a variety of competitive sports and to create a vision for what we see today. To say Constance was ahead of her time is an understatement. She inspired women who were ahead of their time. And one of those women happens to be one of Gettysburg's own, Grace Kenny. Now that name might be a name that many of the Gettysburg athletes are aware of. But Coach Kenny served as Gettysburg's field hockey and basketball coach from 1948 to 1987. And I'm sure that Constance and Grace's paths crossed many times. I really enjoyed learning more about Grace and what role she played in creating the legacy of women's athletics athletics excellence at Gettysburg. And it's just kind of fun to see how the legacy is created. And I think it's important for all of us to understand that and recognize that. And it's only fitting that we unveil this plaque commemorating Constance Applebee on a day when Gettysburg is competing against Bryn Mawr in 3 women's sports. So, you know, Bryn Mawr is very proud of their place in history to provide opportunities for women in competitive athletics. And I'm real proud to be here with Jen, and we're simply going to unveil this plaque. And I'm grateful for that you guys took a couple minutes out from your day before competing. So thanks very much. Yeah, she would have loved this field. You know, and the stick and the, Constance, I'll have one very, very short story. Being a field hockey person myself, when I came to Bryn Mawr, I opened up the athletic director's closet to find a field hockey stick in there. And it was an older stick, and I said, wow, one of those old sticks that I don't know how they did anything with it. And I looked on the tag on the bottom of the stick, and it said, C. Applebee. Wow. And I went, what do I do with
like
this?
a cane.
What do I do with it? So it's sitting in the display closet there. So there you go.